What hero is more villainous than the actual villain? Honestly, any protagonist from a Nick Jr. cartoon. They always treat the antagonist like crap for doing only mildly bad things. The Powerpuff Girls were notorious for this. Mojo Jojo would, be at the grocery store picking up juice and shit, and they'd fly in and kick his ass for no reason. There was an episode where they nearly killed him because the mayor started giving them candy for saving the city and they just wanted some more. And they kept getting him in and out of prison just to get candy. This is the equivalent of killing someone for some crack. And then Jack chopped down what was the world's last beanstalk, adding murder and ecological terrorism to the theft, enticement, and trespass charges already mentioned, and all the giant's children didn't have a daddy anymore. But he got away with it and lived happily ever after, without so much as a guilty twinge about what he had done, which proves that you can be excused for just about anything if you are a hero, because no one asks inconvenient questions. Hogfather, Sir Terry Pratchett. This is subverted by Fables too, because Jack is such an unrepentant arsehole whose backstory is full of him just doing dickish, horrible things for the sake of women, money and power. Andrea's boyfriend from Devil Wears Prada. Her friends were such dicks. They were more than happy to accept $1,000 gifts from her, but they couldn't let her take a call from work. She is a personal assistant to her boss. She's on call 24/7. And even if she wasn't, you don't fuck with someone's job. Their bit with the phone in the restaurant was uncalled for. And her boyfriend was wildly unsupportive. Also, he's supposed to be a professional chef. IRL chefs work grueling long shifts, often very late into the night. You're telling me he doesn't understand that she can't be home every night by 6? For that matter, why is he home enough to complain that she's never there? If anything, it should be relieving guilt he would realistically feel from his demanding work schedule. Book Andrea has a bit more working against her morality-wise. I believe she does properly cheat with that other publisher in the book, and she blows off her friend who was in a drunk driving accident for work, which is pretty bad. Movie Andrea was just doing her best though, and her whole so-called support system was a wreck. Their bit with the phone in the restaurant was uncalled for. Yeah, I was confused. Was that scene trying to portray her as being uptight or negative? All it did was portray her friends acting like a bunch of babies. The married king in the original Sleeping Beauty, in case you didn't know, it goes a little like this. So basic. First bit, she gets primed by a spinning wheel and falls asleep, but she isn't rescued by a prince, she gets rescued by a married king. He comes and sees her and does unspeakable things to her and leaves. 9 months later she awakes and gives birth to twins. She finds her way to a palace which just happens to be the same king. The king sees her and falls in love with her. The queen sees this and is jealous of Sleeping Beauty, so she plots to kill her and give her twins to the cook so she can cook them up and serve them to the king. The plans fall through, the kids are saved by the cook and the queen is killed and Sleeping Beauty are married. The end. Sorry for any errors, I need a new phone. 9 months later she awakes and gives birth to twins. She gives birth and then wakes up because they suckled her thumb. I assume this is in the extended edition of the movie. Yeah, it's called Sleeping Beauty. Claire from Jurassic World. Her negligence and poor decision-making is directly responsible for the injuries and deaths of many visitors and employees of the park. Not just that, her character's response to events are supposed to be heroic, but in reality she leaves the park managerless to go find her nephews that she couldn't be asked to look after earlier, and finally hooks up with the park ranger in the rescue center despite being the most senior park manager left, who should be in charge of headcounts and organizing communication with the mainland extraction teams. Then in the next film she doesn't get punished and decides to push people to risk more human lives to save the assets that she never truly cared about in the first film. Her character is a complete sociopath. Not to mention intentionally releasing a T-Rex from its enclosure next to the visitors center while civilians are still all over the island.